The cosmos was infinite, but within its boundless reaches, whispers of humanity traveled farther than light. Among the elder gods, ancient beings older than the first galaxies, one lesson was etched into their lore: avoid humans. For centuries, this decree puzzled their offspring. To Karith, one of the youngest elder spawn, humanity was nothing more than fragile mortals, insignificant and fleeting compared to the vastness of divine existence. Yet, the cautionary tales persisted, stirring Karith's curiosity. On the Day of Reckoning, a ritual where elder spawn could challenge the boundaries of their understanding, Karith defied the warnings and descended upon Earth. With its shimmering scales and eyes glowing like fractured suns, Karith cloaked itself in a semi-human guise, blending into the teeming masses of New York City. The towering structures of steel and glass reminded Karith of crystalline citadels from its own realm, but these constructions lacked elegance. Instead, they brimmed with chaos, a reflection of the beings who inhabited them. Karith's first encounter with humanity left it bewildered. Standing at the edge of a bustling street, it observed mortals honking, shouting, and weaving through traffic. No reverence for the divine. No acknowledgement of its presence. Do they not sense what I am? Karith wondered. But as the hours stretched, something deeper unraveled. These creatures were utterly fearless. While Karith could annihilate an entire city with a thought, these mortals carried on as though invincible, their fragility masked by relentless determination. The first test of Karith's resolve came in the form of a homeless man named Jonah. Sitting cross-legged on the cold concrete, Jonah radiated a peculiar warmth, his laugh defying the gloom of his surroundings. Intrigued, Karith approached him, its curiosity overriding its disdain for such a lowly creature. "What makes you laugh when the universe crumbles around you?" Karith asked, its voice reverberating like thunder in Jonah's mind. Jonah chuckled, his weathered face breaking into a grin. "You're strange, friend. But here's the thing, the universe can throw whatever it wants at me, but as long as I'm breathing, I'm still in the game." Karith recoiled. Still in the game, the phrase was nonsensical, yet it encapsulated an unshakable belief that defied the very fabric of the cosmos. Jonah's response stirred something dormant within the elder spawn, a curiosity that had long been overshadowed by divine arrogance. The days that followed were a blur of exploration. Karith witnessed humanity's contradictions firsthand. They wept over tragedies yet laughed in the face of despair. They built empires only to watch them fall, then rose again with renewed fervor. But it wasn't until Karith stumbled upon humanity's capacity for storytelling that it truly understood the warnings. In a library brimming with books and digital archives, Karith uncovered humanity's darkest tales, accounts of wars that scorched worlds, inventions that harnessed the power of stars, and acts of defiance that toppled the mightiest of foes. They are chaos personified, Karith realized. Yet within this chaos lay an order, a pattern of resilience and creativity that no other species in the cosmos could replicate. It was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Karith's journey reached a turning point when it inadvertently stumbled upon a military base conducting classified experiments. Posing as an intern, Karith infiltrated the facility, curious to see the full extent of humanity's potential. What it found left it speechless: humans testing weapons that could pierce dimensions, harness black holes, and even rival the gods themselves. The experiments were unstable, but the sheer audacity of their ambition was unmatched. When a prototype weapon malfunctioned, creating a rift that threatened to consume the entire base, Karith witnessed humanity's essence distilled into a single moment. A young scientist, barely out of her 20s, threw herself into the heart of the chaos, manually stabilizing the rift with an ingenuity that bordered on madness. Her name was Dr. Elaine of Oz. As the rift closed, leaving the facility intact, Karith approached Elena, its curiosity burning brighter than ever. "Why would you risk your life for something so uncertain?" it asked, its voice carrying an undertone of reverence. Elena's response was simple yet profound. "Because uncertainty is where we find hope." Those words haunted Karith. The elder gods had always feared humans for their unpredictability, but now Karith understood the true danger: they thrived in uncertainty. While other species crumbled under pressure, humans rose to the occasion, turning chaos into opportunity. As Kareth departed the facility, it began to question everything it had been taught. The elder gods had warned their offspring about humans not because of their weakness, but because of their strength, strength born of fragility, chaos, and a refusal to accept defeat. Kareth realized that humanity was not to be avoided out of fear, but studied and understood, for within their mortal frames lay a power that could challenge even the divine. But Kareth's journey was far from over. The warnings of the elder gods began to echo louder in its mind, and Kareth knew that its defiance would not go unnoticed. The balance between the realms was shifting, and Kareth's fascination with humanity would soon draw the attention of forces far greater than it could comprehend. Kareth's fascination with humanity grew stronger, but so did the consequences of its defiance. In the celestial expanse, whispers of its journey to Earth spread like wildfire. The elder gods, ever watchful, grew restless. Humanity was a forbidden realm not for its fragility but for the potential havoc they could unleash if provoked. Kareth's indulgence in Earth's affairs was seen as a dangerous gamble, one that could disrupt the delicate balance of cosmic order. Back on Earth, Kareth's guise as a human allowed it to delve deeper into the intricacies of mortal life. It lingered around Elena Voss, drawn by her insatiable curiosity and boundless ingenuity. Elena, unaware of Kareth's true nature, found herself drawn to the enigmatic figure. "You're not like the others," she observed one evening as they worked together in her private lab, her voice tinged with suspicion. "You see things differently, like you already know how it all ends." Kareth hesitated. For the first time in its eternal existence, it grappled with an emotion foreign to elder beings: trust. The desire to share its truth wrestled with the centuries of caution drilled into its very essence. But before it could respond, an unexpected threat emerged. A tear in the fabric of reality appeared in the skies above Earth, a cosmic wound pulsating with unearthly energy. The elder gods had sent their emissaries, beings of raw power and divine wrath, to retrieve Kareth and eradicate any trace of its interference. Their presence was heralded by chaos, massive storms, disruptions in Earth's magnetic field, and strange celestial phenomena visible even to untrained eyes. The first strike came swiftly and without warning. A colossal pillar of light descended upon the city, its impact leveling entire blocks and throwing humanity into turmoil. Kareth, unprepared for such an aggressive response, realized the severity of its actions. The elder gods weren't merely recalling their wayward offspring, they were sending a message. Earth was to be silenced, its people punished for daring to engage with the divine. Elena and Kareth found themselves at the epicenter of the destruction. Buildings crumbled, and screams filled the air as civilians scrambled for safety. Elena, ever the scientist, reacted with an urgency born of sheer determination. "We have to stabilize the anomalies," she shouted over the deafening roar of collapsing structures. "Whatever's causing this, it's targeting our reality itself." Kareth's celestial instincts kicked in. While its power was formidable, it was no match for the combined wrath of the elder emissaries. "It's not just targeting your reality," Kareth admitted, its voice laced with both awe and dread. "They're here for me." Elena froze, her mind racing to piece together the implications. "You're not human, are you?" she asked, her tone a mix of accusation and wonder. Kareth shed its mortal guise, revealing its true form, a being of shimmering scales, glowing eyes, and an aura that seemed to bend light itself. For a moment, Elena stood transfixed, her breath caught between fear and fascination. But she quickly regained her composure. "If they want you, then we have to give them a reason to leave Earth out of it." Her words struck a chord. Kareth realized that humanity's resilience wasn't just a survival mechanism, it was a strategy. They didn't cower before insurmountable odds, they adapted, fought, and thrived. Drawing upon this newfound respect, Kareth devised a plan, one that required both its divine knowledge and Elena's scientific genius. The duo worked tirelessly, combining their strengths to create a device capable of amplifying humanity's most potent force, unpredictability. Using Earth's advanced technology and Kareth's celestial essence, they engineered a countermeasure, a reality distortion field that could disrupt the elder emissaries' control over their surroundings. But time was against them. The emissaries were relentless, their attacks growing more devastating by the second. As they activated the device, the air crackled with energy, the boundaries of reality warping under its influence. The distortion field created a zone of chaos that the elder emissaries couldn't navigate. Their divine precision faltered, their attacks misfiring and causing more harm to themselves than their intended targets. For the first time, Karith saw fear in their celestial forms. But the victory was short-lived. The distortion field was unstable, its energy threatening to spiral out of control. "It's going to implode!" Elena shouted, her voice tinged with both panic and resolve. "We need to contain it before it takes the entire planet with it." Karith faced a choice: retreat to the safety of its celestial realm and abandon humanity to its fate, or stay and risk everything to stabilize the field. In that moment, Karith understood why the elder gods feared humans. Their defiance wasn't reckless, it was transformative. By standing with humanity, Karith wasn't just defying its own kind, it was embracing the very chaos that made Earth so extraordinary. With a surge of divine power, Karith merged its essence with the distortion field, stabilizing its energy and neutralizing the threat. The elder emissaries, sensing their defeat, retreated into the void, their mission incomplete. Earth was spared, but at a cost. Karith, weakened and vulnerable, collapsed in the aftermath. Elena rushed to its side, her eyes filled with both gratitude and sorrow. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly, her voice breaking. Karith managed a faint smile, its glow dim but steady. "Humans, you fight not because you're strong, but because you refuse to give up. That's why the universe fears you." As the dust settled, Karith knew its actions would have far-reaching consequences. The elder gods wouldn't forget this defiance, and neither would humanity. Together, they had faced an unimaginable threat and emerged stronger, bound by a shared understanding of resilience and courage. Karith awoke to a sharp, unfamiliar sensation: pain. For a celestial being accustomed to immortality, the dull ache coursing through its form was both humbling and illuminating. It opened its eyes to see Elena standing over it, her face a blend of exhaustion and determination. The lab around them was in ruins, the aftermath of the distortion field's activation evident in the cracked walls and sparking consoles. "You're alive," Elena said, relief flooding her voice. "Barely, but alive." Karith attempted to rise, but its weakened state made the effort excruciating. "The emissaries," it croaked, its voice barely a whisper. "Gone for now," Elena replied. "But I doubt they'll stay away for long. Whatever you did, it bought us time, but not much." Time, Karith realized, was now humanity's most precious commodity. The elder gods would not let this act of defiance go unanswered. The emissaries were merely the first wave. The full wrath of the celestial hierarchy would soon follow. Karith had to act, but its current state left it vulnerable. As if sensing its thoughts, Elena placed a hand on its shoulder. "You're not alone in this," she said firmly. "We'll find a way to stop them. Together." Their brief respite was interrupted by the lab's proximity alarm. Elena rushed to the console, her fingers flying over the controls. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a massive tear in the sky, a rift from which an ominous, pulsating darkness spilled into Earth's atmosphere. The elder gods were sending something far worse than emissaries. "They've opened a gateway," Karith said, its tone grim. "They're bringing the void beings." Elena turned to Karith, her face pale. "Void beings? What are those?" Karith hesitated. How could it explain the unspeakable horror of creatures born from the void between realities? "They're the elder gods' enforcers," it said finally. "They don't negotiate. They don't stop. They consume everything in their path." Elena's mind raced. She'd faced impossible odds before, but this was something entirely new. "How do we fight them?" she demanded. Karith closed its eyes, reaching deep into its fractured essence for an answer. "We can't," it admitted. "Not directly. But there might be another way." Elena listened intently as Karith explained its plan. The void beings were creatures of pure entropy, bound to the will of the elder gods. But their connection to the celestial hierarchy was not infallible. If they could sever that connection, the void beings would lose their directive and their cohesion. To sever the link, we need to disrupt their anchor point, Kara said. The rift. Elena's scientific mind quickly grasped the implications. We need to close the rift from the other side, she said. But that would mean someone has to enter the void, Karith finished. The weight of the decision hung heavy between them. Elena knew the risks, but she also knew there was no other choice. I'll go, she said, her voice steady. Karith's eyes widened in shock. No. You're mortal. The void would tear you apart. And you're barely holding yourself together, Elena shot back. If we don't act now, there won't be a planet left to save. Karith saw the resolve in her eyes and knew there was no arguing with her. Together, they worked to modify the distortion field device, repurposing it into a rift stabilizer. The process was grueling, with Karith guiding Elena through celestial mechanics while she improvised with Earth's limited technology. As they neared completion, the lab shook violently. The void beings were closing in, their presence a palpable force that made the air thick and oppressive. Elena glanced at Karith, a mixture of fear and determination in her expression. This has to work, she said. It will, Karith assured her, though it wasn't entirely convinced. With the stabilizer ready, Elena prepared to enter the void. Karith infused the device with the last of its energy, ensuring it would hold long enough for her to complete the mission. You've already shown me the strength of humanity, Karith said, its voice heavy with emotion. Now you must show the elder gods. Elena nodded, stepping into the stabilizer's energy field. The device hummed to life, enveloping her in a protective cocoon of light. As the field expanded, she was pulled into the rift, disappearing into the void's swirling darkness. Karith watched helplessly as the rift began to destabilize. The void beings surged forward, their grotesque forms writhing as they advanced on the lab. Karith summoned the remnants of its power, erecting a barrier to hold them back. But it was a losing battle. Inside the void, Elena floated in a realm of pure chaos. Colors and shapes defied comprehension, and the very fabric of reality seemed to unravel around her. She clutched the stabilizer, its energy her only anchor in the madness. Reaching the rift's anchor point, she activated the device. The stabilizer emitted a pulse of energy, its light cutting through the void like a beacon. The void beings recoiled, their connection to the elder gods severed as the rift began to collapse. Back on Earth, Karith felt the shift. The void beings disintegrated, their forms dissolving into nothingness. The rift's pulsating darkness shrank, its edges folding in on themselves. Karith's barrier collapsed, but the threat was gone. As the rift closed completely, Karith collapsed to the ground, its energy spent. For a moment there was silence, a stillness that felt almost unnatural after the chaos. Then, a faint light appeared where the rift had been. Elena emerged, battered but alive. The stabilizer had protected her, but just barely. Karith managed a weak smile as she approached. You did it, it said. No, Elena replied, her voice firm. We did it. The lab was in ruins, but the earth was still standing. Elena and Karith emerged into the morning light, the sky now free of the otherworldly rift. The horizon glowed with a gentle warmth, signaling the first day of a future that almost wasn't. But the victory came at a cost. Karith leaned heavily against the crumbling wall, its once radiant form now dim and fragmented. The battle against the void beings and the strain of stabilizing the rift had drained what little energy it had left. Despite its diminished state, there was a quiet pride in its eyes. You've proven something today, Karith said, its voice soft but steady. Not just to me, but to the entire cosmos. Humanity is far more than the elder gods ever anticipated. Elena glanced at her hands, still trembling from the ordeal. We survived because we worked together, she replied. You trusted me, and I trusted you. That's what humans do. We adapt, we fight, and we stand together when it matters most. Karith nodded, but its expression turned somber. The elder gods won't take this lightly. They may retreat for now, but they will remember this defiance. Their pride demands retribution. Elena clenched her fists. Let them come, she said fiercely. We've shown them what we're capable of. And next time, we'll be even stronger. As they spoke, a convoy of military vehicles approached, kicking up dust as they sped toward the ruins. Colonel Stanton and his team disembarked, their weapons at the ready. The soldiers looked wary, their gazes shifting between Elena and the weakened Celestial being beside her. Status report, Dr. Alvarez, Stanton barked. What happened here? Elena stepped forward, her voice resolute. We stopped an invasion, she said. The elder gods sent their emissaries, their void beings, and they failed. But this isn't over. They'll be back, and we need to prepare. Stanton's eyes narrowed as he studied her. And this creature? He asked, gesturing toward Karith. This creature is the reason we're still alive, Elena snapped. Karith risked everything to help us. Without it, the earth would have been consumed. Karith inclined its head slightly. I have no allegiance to the elder gods, it said. My only desire is to ensure the balance of creation. Humanity has a role to play in that balance. Stanton's skepticism was evident, but he didn't press the issue. We'll debrief later, he said curtly. For now, let's secure the area. As the soldiers fanned out, Elena turned back to Karith. You need rest, she said. Come with us. We'll figure out how to help you recover. Karith shook its head. My time is short, it admitted. The energy I expended cannot be replenished. But that is as it should be. My purpose here is fulfilled. Elena's heart sank. She had come to see Karith not just as an ally, but as a friend. The thought of losing it was almost unbearable. There has to be something we can do, she insisted. Karith placed a hand on her shoulder, its touch surprisingly warm. You've already done more than enough, it said. You've shown me the strength of humanity's spirit. That is a legacy worth preserving. Before Elena could respond, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A low hum resonated through the air, and Karith's form began to glow faintly. It looked up at the sky, its expression a mixture of awe and resignation. They're watching, Karith said. The elder gods. They see now what humanity is capable of. And they are afraid. Elena followed Karith's gaze, but she saw nothing unusual. Afraid of what? She asked. Afraid of what you might become, Karith replied. Afraid of a species that defies gods and carves its own destiny. They underestimated you once. They won't make that mistake again. Karith's glow intensified, its form becoming less distinct. Elena realized with a jolt that it was fading. Karith, wait! She cried. You can't just leave. We still need you. Karith smiled faintly. You need each other, it said. Trust in your people, in your strength. You are more resilient than you know. With those final words, Karith's light flared brightly, then dissipated into the air. Elena stood frozen, a profound sense of loss washing over her. But as the light faded, she felt something else, hope. Stanton approached her cautiously. What just happened? He asked. Elena took a deep breath, steadying herself. Karith gave us a chance, she said. It showed us what we're fighting for. And now, it's up to us to make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. In the days that followed, word of the celestial encounter spread. Governments and scientists around the world began to collaborate, pooling their knowledge to prepare for future threats. Elena became a key figure in these efforts, her experience with Karith earning her both respect and scrutiny. But for Elena, it wasn't about recognition or power. It was about honoring Karith's sacrifice and ensuring humanity's survival. She threw herself into the work, determined to turn the lessons of the past into the strategies of the future. As she gazed up at the stars one evening, she felt a sense of quiet resolve. The elder gods might return, but humanity would be ready. They had faced the abyss and emerged stronger, their unity and determination unshaken. And somewhere, in the infinite expanse of the cosmos, Karith's essence lingered, a silent guardian watching over the world it had come to admire.